Week 11 in the NFL is officially in the books. Chris Lovitt and I look back at the action and talk about who excelled.
Like Justin Herbert's performance, obviously not just this weekend because let's be honest, it was the Jets, so most QBs look good against them, but still he had a personal best of 366 pass yards. And he was really accurate with like 37 out of 49 passes completed and 3 touchdowns with obviously no interceptions. So he has had actually 5 3 touchdown games already this season, and 7 games in a row where he had at least two, which are both NFL rookie records. So I think he's just really lighting the league on fire with his play.
I've been impressed with what I've seen from Justin Herbert. And when you kind of lay the Chargers team out and look at their depth chart on paper, this team should be winning much more games than it is now. And I don't know whether that comes down to coaching or, whether it's just having a rookie quarterback. But when you see Herbert and you kind of just use the eye test, he makes some throws that not many quarterbacks can make. And to be doing that already at this stage of his career, it's definitely promising for Chargers fans. The one thing I will say though is I think the Chargers definitely do need to address their O-line. It isn't the best, and obviously we've just seen what happens to Joe Burrow. We've seen it happen to quarterbacks in the past. We definitely don't want to see it happen to Justin Herbert. I would give him definitely an A grade so far this season.
I heard a lot of experts saying as well that maybe like the Dolphins made the wrong pick in picking Tua before Herbert, because like obviously it's too soon to compare the two of them. Tua obviously had less playing time than Herbert, but if you just watch Herbert playing, he can basically make every throw there is, and his arm is ridiculously strong, and he's very mobile, a better athlete I think than Tua. So yeah, it's if it continues like this, I mean the Dolphins might regret not taking Herbert.
Yeah, definitely. And there was definitely more, I guess, asterisks next to Herbert coming out of Oregon, playing in that weaker conference, whereas Tua was, constantly playing, elite college defenses in the SEC. But definitely just using your eye test. I mean, I know you can't just judge it on 1 week, but Tua got benched this week. Herbert hasn't even come close to getting benched yet. And the Chargers have lost a lot of close games this year. So moving on to one of my good points, I'm going to go with the Saints and their ability to adapt. We know Sean Payton is going to be a Hall of Fame head coach, and we know Drew Brees is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. Obviously, Drew Brees holds pretty much every passing record now. I know him and Brady are kind of neck and neck, but yeah, to lose one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, then have to bring in a completely different quarterback. You've got Drew Brees, who's the pocket passer, deadly accurate, and then you've got Taysom Hill, more of the gadget guy who can run a bit. And for Sean Payton to be able to just switch quarterbacks like that, it's almost a seamless transition. Taysom Hill comes in, he throws or he rushes for 2 touchdowns. I think it was about 250 yards. I was really impressed, and I know they have packages for Taysom Hill because they bring him in on gadget plays, but I was really impressed with how the Saints were able to just completely adapt, new quarterback, new system, and still look like the same old Saints.
Yeah, definitely. It's the second year in a row that kind of the Saints lose their starting quarterback in Drew Brees, and they kind of just continue as nothing would have changed. Like last year, obviously, they were lucky enough to have Teddy Bridgewater as a backup, but I mean, Taysom Hill did like remarkably fine, and like I didn't expect that from him. At the beginning, you could kind of see he was kind of nervous and hesitant to throw the ball, but in the end, I mean, he did like very well, and like Michael Thomas actually had his best game of the season with over 100 yards. So it kind of, I guess the other players kind of knew they need to step up a bit more and help him out. But yeah, I mean, he did great for like a guy that nobody would probably expect can be a franchise QB. Who knows? Maybe he's the answer going forward in New Orleans.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, when it was announced earlier in the week that Taysom Hill would be starting, I was actually very surprised. I expected Jameis to be the one to start, but to be honest, I think either of those could have started and the Saints would have won. Yeah, whether Taysom Hill's the long-term answer, I'm not sure. They've got him on a fairly cheap deal at the moment. I think it's 2 years, $21 million. So they're not paying him a huge amount. But yeah, to have a backup to step in and be able to win games is key. And we've seen the Saints have had that 2 seasons now with 2 different quarterbacks.
Yeah, basically kind of going from like one backup QB to the next one. Like my second kind of good performance or good thing from the week was PJ Walker kind of stepping up for the Carolina Panthers. Like he was obviously he made his first start. He was almost a career backup. He was backup for the Colts before, and he had a great like kind of season for the XFL. So he went 5-0 with his Houston Roughnecks before they kind of had to shut it down because of the pandemic, and he would have definitely won the MVP for that league. So it was kind of a nice story, and he played well. I mean, he had 2 interceptions in the red zone, but he played well enough for the Panthers to beat the Lions. So on short notice as well. So he impressed me definitely.
Yeah, the XFL superstar. Yeah, it was a really good story. I mean, it always helps when your defense can shut the other team out as well. But yeah, I was impressed. And one guy I think who's probably flown slightly under the radar this year, I think maybe because the Panthers haven't been winning too many games, is the offensive coordinator Joe Brady, who they brought in from LSU. I know around LSU and the college game, he was regarded as one of the brightest young offensive minds. And what he's been able to do in Carolina this year has been excellent as well. I'm sure, scheming up some good plays for PJ Walker. But yeah, I was very impressed with him. He made some good throws. There were some questionable decisions in there, which you would expect. But yeah, all in all, again, I think there's a trend developing here where you have to have a backup quarterback who can come in and win games on short notice. And yeah, the Panthers have shown they have that as well.
Yeah, he showcased his elusiveness and his great arm and awareness. Like I mean, he got kind of better each drive, and I mean, in the end, it was kind of nice. He got the game ball, and yeah, I mean, it was impressive, especially if you consider that Christian McCaffrey was still out for the game as well. So obviously, with him, if he would have played, then it would have kind of added some more intrigue to the offense. So all in all, yeah, he did quite well for his first NFL start.
Yeah, I was very impressed with him. And my second good thing for the week is the Seahawks defense. It's probably been the most scrutinized unit across the whole NFL this season. We know they're bad. We know they're ranked. The number 32 defense, so they are actually the worst defense. And this week they played the number 1 offense in Kyler and the Arizona Cardinals. Many people thought this would probably be a bit of a bloodbath for the Seahawks, with the Cardinals putting up 30, 40, 50 points maybe. But I was very impressed with how they played. It was their biggest game so far this season. They know it's the NFC West is going to be extremely tight this year. Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, even the 49ers maybe. It was their biggest game of the year so far on prime time, and they stepped up. They took away a lot of what Arizona were trying to do. They did still give up, I think it was 314 yards. But this is a defense that we were talking about could be the worst defense ever in the history of the NFL. And I was really impressed. They rose to the occasion and they helped the Seahawks get a very important win this week.
Yeah, it was impressive when you see how many points they gave up to the Cardinals in their first meeting, and now only allowing 21 points. So you can definitely see some improvement. And apparently, the team had like a big meeting with all the players before the game, where they kind of hold everyone accountable and kind of spoke up, and to kind of right the ship between the team on the defense. And I mean, they held Kyler Murray to only 57 rushing yards, and he was sacked 3 times as well. But apparently as well that Murray appeared to have he suffered apparently a right shoulder injury early on in the game, and it's kind of still unclear, I think, how much that affected him, because he only rushed 5 times in the entire game, and that was kind of his fewest rushing attempts all season. So obviously the Seahawks defense stepped up massively, but maybe it was also helped out by maybe an apparent injury from Murray.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how bad that is. I think they're playing. Is it the Patriots this week? So yeah, pretty big game there. And we also saw, I've just criticised the Packers earlier in this video, the Packers GM for not bringing in any help. We saw this week the Seahawks brought in Dunlap from the Bengals, and he was the one who ends up getting the sack to seal the game for them. So yeah, big difference in how GMs can influence games. And just to touch on one final point, I actually like the Seahawks to win the NFC West. Looking at their remaining schedule, their next 4 games are the Eagles, the Giants, the Jets, and the Washington football team. You've got to think that's 4 wins there. And if the defense can continue to step up, if Jamal Adams can get healthy, if they can kind of figure a few things out, then I think this team, could definitely make a run.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of I go even one step further and say, for me, the whole NFC is going to come down to either the Seahawks and the Saints. So I definitely see the Seahawks with the most potential overall in the NFC West. But yeah, I guess it all depends on the defense, because you already know what Russell Wilson brings to the table on the offensive side. He's just, he can win you any game as long as the defense doesn't totally collapse.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be a fun final month and a half of the season for sure.